All right. An action clap.
Okay. Was that it?
That was the action clap.
Okay. Hello.
Hello. Welcome. So we are the TheraSisters. I'm Catherine Barton.
I'm Amy Cambrian.
And welcome to our podcast about healing and interviewing healers. We're really excited today to have Jay come and join us.
Yes, I'm excited about talking with Jay today.
Yay. So just jumping into it, Amy, what's going on with you right now? Do you have something fun happening in your life?
Interesting things. I don't know how much fun. The fun part is we're redoing our garage. That's fun.
Yay.
The interesting thing are the squirrels. We have squirrels. They have been living above our garage for many years now. Decades, yes. And so we're trying to humanely release the squirrels. And we had our contractor, it's like, oh, I'll take this squirrel. And he lives over by Francis Park. So we live in the city, and Francis Park is maybe 3, 4, 5 miles away? I don't know. So he takes this squirrel, and he did put a little touch of color to the tail of the squirrel, a nice gold, and took the squirrel and released him in Francis Park, right? And so my husband, Jim, and I, and so that was maybe Thursday, Friday, and then my husband was out in the front of our house, and he's like, oh my gosh. He didn't say it like that. It was more like, I can't effing believe this, is really what he said. And so I'm like, what? And he's like, I think that's the squirrel. Is that the squirrel with the gold tail? I'm like, oh, no, it's just a lighter brown. And we're videoing, and we get closer. I'm like, it is that squirrel. So this squirrel, within 24 hours, decided to come back home. Yeah, so that's the fun.
That's a squirrel saga.
Yes. What about you? You've got some fun things.
Yeah. So my daughter is turning 8 on Mother's Day.
Oh, yay.
And so she's having a sleepover tomorrow night with 6 other 7 and 8-year-old girls. And
oh my goodness.
It's going to be a lot of tay-tay. It's going to be making slime. It's going to be lots of makeup. So we're hoping we get through the night and we're excited. It'll be fun.
That will be a lot of fun. Yes. Oh my gosh, with Taylor Swift in the background and the makeup and the slime, we're going to have a blast.
Yeah.
Yes. Should we?
Yes.
Bring in
Welcome,
Jay.
Hi,
Jay.
Hi, ladies. Hello. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. Try and get. Oh, you're good.
I caught it just in time.
Yes.
They're legit.
Yes, if you can't see us, we've got like little poofs on the floor, and they're low to the ground.
They're very comfy.
Hopefully, they're comfy.
Oh, they're comfy. You're very comfy. To know quite how low it was. So yeah.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you, ladies. I appreciate you having me.
We're so glad you're here.
I know. It's a great idea to be able to have just a space for women and all people to just be able to focus on themselves and go, how can I heal better?
Yes.
So thank you for doing it for us.
Oh, you're welcome. Mm-hmm. Well, and speaking of women and people to feel good about themselves, we know that that's important to you and empowering women. So first tell us more about you.
Oh, okay. I started in nonprofit, so I had a whole other career before this, which was really cool. I always say I've had three jobs, 3 careers, and all of them I've absolutely loved. So I really don't feel like I worked a day in my life. So this led me into my kind of hobby, then went into a full-time career of boudoir photography. And very much like when I worked in nonprofit, I empowered individuals to understand their worth. So in doing that, it's just now an artistic form of it. And and so I just absolutely love it. I have a studio over in O'Fallon, Illinois, which is about 15 minutes from the river. And
what's the name of it again?
Bellisimo. Bellisimo Photography Studio, yes. And it's Bellisimo Photography Studio because apparently when I chose that name, I didn't realize there was another Bellisimo studio in St. Louis.
No.
So I'm the one on the Illinois side.
That's nice.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about me, and then
Okay. Yeah, and so you empowerment.
Yes, yeah. So what I found is that I always tell people that I give individuals an experience. So taking pictures is great. I absolutely love it. But what I really cherish about the whole thing is the experience I give women, and when they come in and they're able to really just kind of see themselves differently. They feel very empowered coming out of it, and really just being able to just take time for themselves and just capture that idea of how beautiful they are and really be able to see themselves for it. So I always say the pictures are a bonus. They just remind you of the experience.
Yes.
But the actual reason why I do it is the experience. And so in doing that, I knew that I wanted to really kind of expand that experience. And so my business partner, Ashley, she went on her own self-healing journey in this last year. She became a sound bath practitioner and now is going through yoga training.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
She's almost be on in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. Yeah, she told me. So I'm just excited to be able to have her explain all of that. And so she started doing sound baths at the studio. And then before that, you all came in.
Yes, we did.
A mindfulness workshop.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes. We were thinking of a different experience.
Yes. That's not what you talk about. But yes, you did a mindfulness workshop, and that was so helpful, especially to women that just don't take time for themselves to be able to just kind of unplug for a couple hours and really focus in on themselves. And so in doing that, I just figured that we needed to create the space of beyond just a studio for boudoir photography. It needs to be a studio to really just help individuals, find themselves and empower themselves and heal. Right?
Yes. Yeah, I love that. So it's an extension, right? So you really noticed how the women were feeling empowered.
Yes.
And then you're like, well, I want to extend this and expand it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So now we are now called the Self Collective Studio. And the collective part is really being able to bring individuals from everywhere in to kind of share their healing technique with the women, and being able to really just have a space of wellness, a space of self-development. So another partner of mine, Jana, she is going to be doing a book club, and then she'll also be doing other workshops. So it's a space of whether it be for a sound bath, whether it be for a mindfulness training, whether it be to discover yourself through a boudoir session. It's just a space of healing.
And you have a beautiful space, by the way. It really is beautiful.
We are very blessed. Yeah. We are very blessed. Pretty awesome space.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Well, and when you think about healing, right? Like, how do you maybe define healing? How do you?
I am often asked, look, how do you define healing? Really just healing to me is being able to kind of see within yourself, right?
Okay.
First see within yourself and see the parts of you that you don't feel comfortable with. And then how can I make that into a more comfortable space?
I like it.
And so you may not even understand what that is. So really kind of diving deep, getting in that space of vulnerability and finding, because then there's like a self-discovery from that, you start unpacking things and didn't even realize how it was out there.
Right.
So
in there.
Yeah, exactly. In there. So knowing first, just coming from a space of reflection and then working on those spaces where you're just not as comfortable as you'd like to be.
Yes. I really like that of finding what is uncomfortable, right? Because a lot of times that's where we run away. Right? It's like, oh, this is uncomfortable. I don't want it. I'm going to move away. But to notice that and then go, oh, that is something for me to work on. Yeah, that's a great self-awareness. Yeah. And so did you have another question? Yes. Multiple question lady.
Yes. That's me. I love it.
My new nickname. Yeah. So for you personally, how do you, what do you do to help yourself heal, to help yourself?
I have gone through a huge kind of healing journey, not there yet, but definitely went on a huge healing journey when I turned 40. And so I'm 49 now, but when I turned 40, it was really like this like shift. And as you know, be a therapist, I'm sure you hear that when women turn 40, it's just like this shift. And I started to really understand who I am. Again, not fully there yet, but trying to understand who I am, trying to accept myself. And so really just these spaces of getting into spaces of vulnerability, whether that just be, again, self-reflection, whether that be talking to friends in a way that may not have been comfortable to me before. So I try to heal myself first internally before really kind of going out and doing big things. My first one was, I knew kind of I had to put it in stone. On my 40th birthday, I got a tattoo on my arm that says, I am enough.
Beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. And I always thought when I'm down and I'm sad, what do? You lower your head. And so,
perfect spot for that. It's right there on your arm where you look and you see it.
Yeah, because I was never a person that would say tattoo right there. I was a career development specialist before this, so I'm like never. But I knew I needed to do that for me. So healing is just internal first. Yeah.
So, question. What have you noticed within your relationship? So you mentioned that you're interacting or you're sharing things that maybe you didn't share before or you communicated differently. What have you noticed with your relationships?
I've noticed that it's okay to recognize unhealthy relationships and step away, even if time is, you've been with, a friend your whole life, and to really recognize unhealthy patterns that you can step away, to recognize that I need to speak up for myself. And again, it's not like somebody is doing anything negative. It's just like, I'm not going to say, oh yeah, even though I maybe internally I'm not okay with that. Okay. So just trying to just speak up and just be real. I tried to put on a face before of just being that person that everybody, like, oh, I'm just happy-go-lucky all the time. And I show a little bit more vulnerability now.
I like that. Yeah. And I think friendships, speaking on the friendship piece, we can have that tendency to just kind of go along with an idea or something to do or conversations even when we're not comfortable. And I think it's important to recognize, like, wait a minute, maybe this isn't for me anymore, because I think friendships have seasons and we can outgrow them, or they're temporary based on whatever is happening. If it's through work or a move or something like that, they can change. And it is hard because I think, I don't know about you ladies, but with friendships, it's not like a breakup if you're dating someone where you have that conversation. Oh, I don't think this is working. Let's break up. But friendships, I don't know. Sometimes it just kind of fades out and you don't necessarily have closure, or I don't know, but it is good to recognize, like, this doesn't work for me anymore. And it doesn't mean that there's anything like that person, it might not be working for them either. And there is growth and moving away.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. So,
I was going to add to that, just as my own personal thing with friendships, and like you said, the kind of gradual growing apart. Because there are times where I'll look back and I'll think about it, and of course I'll question myself of, did I do something wrong, or or maybe not wrong, but like what kind of brought us to that place where we just maybe don't really hang out anymore, or they don't reach out to me anymore. What is that?
Yeah.
And I think just even diving into that for yourself of, what is it for me? Is it intentional? Is it not intentional? Just kind of all of those different pieces that go into it.
You use the word wrong, and then you put your therapist brain on. Maybe not the word wrong, but that is kind of what we do. Like, I think as women or others, we go like, did I do something wrong to make this friendship what it is now. And
did I hurt that? Well, right. And that's something too that I'm learning now, recently diagnosed with ADHD, of something that comes up for me in the sense of how do I don't know, perceive myself? How do I perceive others? And how do I perceive how others perceive me? Right? All of those things. And so I think back to lots of things in the past where I'm like, whoa, like I didn't realize my actions in that moment. Like I think about things in college or different things where I was like, huh, that makes sense that they're not really my friends anymore. Right? Like that was something where I could see myself growing from, which is cool. Like just part of what you said, taking that space and growing.
Yeah, having that awareness. And I think it's empowering to be able to look inwards and recognize I did these things, and it makes sense that someone might not want to be around that, or it makes sense that I chose that friend in that moment, but not anymore. And also to go, this is okay, right? It is empowering to make those choices in our life.
Yeah. Speaking of the whole like recognizing, right? Like to know that you recognize it, but you're also saying like time doesn't define the relationship, right?
Right.
And it's okay to know that, you know, a reason, a season, or a lifetime, right?
Yeah.
And it's maybe that reason that the person was in your life was simply for you to grow, to realize that that's not what you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's okay too.
Yes.
That's okay too.
Yeah.
And you could also extend that to family members, right? Just because I'm related to you doesn't mean you're healthy for me, right?
Yeah.
So true.
And that's a big struggle, I think, for a lot of people. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. But
cool.
So I love this empowerment and an actual place, a collective place where people can come together and feel empowered. And tell me a little bit more about this book club.
Yeah, so the book club is focusing on self-development and really self-empowerment themes.
Okay.
And so it's not necessarily like self-help books, right? It's just simply a book that you may discover a little bit of something about yourself and really kind of having intentional conversations around the book in the theme of empowerment and development. So I don't know about you, but I'll read something and all of a sudden I'm like, it could be just like a cheesy, what I call rom-com novel, you know? And it's like, I read it and I'm like, wow, I really saw myself in that character. And that makes sense why I do those things. I never thought I would, I did those things. But as a reflection, I'm like, wow, that was really unhealthy. I really should have done that.
Right. Yeah, I like that story piece of it. And, not just a self-help book.
Yeah. I think it's interesting to see different characters because I'm in a couple other book clubs because I do too much. But but just some books that I've read where the character, I really don't identify with the character, and sometimes I'm like, are people like this? Like I know people are so different all the time, but like sometimes if I read a book recently where the person was like very type A and very structured, and just reading it, I was like, wow, are there people like this? Or like, this is what that feels like to be like that? Like, that's interesting. That's cool. But it's also like, I don't know, it just makes you think of like, oh, interesting. How you think like that. And that's so different.
Well, and I think maybe what you're touching on is that empathy of having empathy of, oh, this is some of the struggles that this type A character can have, and that's going to be really hard. And I think empathy is also empowering, right? Of being able to understand someone else's or understanding the emotions that someone might be having in certain situations. And
yeah. Empathy is huge because if you're able to really kind of understand that individual, you then are able to be a little bit more accepting of yourself as well. You know, to be able to go, wow, that must be really hard. And then go, it's okay to say it's really hard for you too. you know, like it's just, again, that reflection piece, right? Like you can be, 100% empathetic with that. Sometimes it kind of then becomes a mirror and you're like, wow, you go through that too. And that's okay that you struggle with that.
Yeah. I get that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have a tendency to be more compassionate to others. And so that empathy and being able to put that on ourselves is so important.
Definitely.
Yeah. I know. Good stuff.
Now, what about you, lady? What are the things that bring you? Good. What is that space for you to heal? What is that space for you to feel like you can, again, just take a little moment for yourself?
Well, I was not prepared.
Well, I'm thinking of a moment specifically, and maybe it's silly. It's not super deep, but I just recently bought a new car and I'm loving it. And so I was in my car yesterday right before, the big old storm, and I was just blaring my music so loud and just like dancing in the car and singing and just really enjoying that, being me, being loud, being silly. Because I'm not always silly in my office. So it was a really nice kind of release space, and it felt really good.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And maybe it is like just those moments to have a release and to just really let it out. So a couple weeks ago, our dog went across the bridge, and I came home and she wasn't there in the window. And I mean, I couldn't open the door fast enough. And it was like, because sometimes there are those moments too where, I mean, it was ugly. It was an ugly cry. But I think it's just accepting too that, we have these emotions and it is okay to release them and all of that. And as far as like a bigger self-reflection, I'm trying to think. I think it's more about talking with my sister, talking with people who are so welcoming like you, and just processing things that come up. I think a journey would be nice, but I haven't totally gotten into that yet. But
what I love that you touched on is that healing isn't always pretty.
Oh, it is not.
Oh, and it's sometimes the ugly cries that make the biggest impact. And we want to be able to hear all the good things about healing, because I think that allows us to maybe go further. And we're like, okay, it's going to be great. And then we realize we get in those spaces of, it's not always great.
Right. Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's not good.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, after that ugly cry, I did feel a lot better. I'm like, okay, I can move forward now in my life without my little pup around.
I appreciate that. I'm not a crier. It's something that I'm trying. Weirdly, I'm trying. I'm trying. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's like I don't cry. We'll do something, and I feel something. And I'm like, am I really like suppressing it to not allow to like release or not? But yeah, exactly. But yeah, maybe it's just one of those real ugly hard.
Yes, they feel good. There's something in the tears. I forget what it's called.
Yeah. I bet. I bet. One day.
Yeah.
What is
That's funny. Do we want to go into our question next?
I was looking at the time and I'm kind of curious. I feel like I have one more question. So in touch again, keeping with the healing theme, if you have a story or a specific moment that you remember where you noticed, wow, I'm making a difference, or I can see healing happening in this client or something like that.
I wouldn't say one particular time because it happens a lot. We keep tissues in the front room where we do portrait reveals. We keep tissues in the studio now, and because there's this moment that you're first off coming into a space like that, it's just vulnerable. I mean, it's just really vulnerable. Even if it's not even about being comfortable with like your body or anything like that. It's just, you're literally taking off your clothes in front of a stranger in essence, right? And so being in that vulnerable space, number one, it kind of takes down the wall a little bit.
Yeah.
But then being able to then accept that I'm going to see this picture of myself and really know that that's me, And what I try to explain to people is, just give me 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes. I'm gonna do the pose coaching, and we're gonna go all through it. And you won't have to know how to do anything. I will teach you everything. And then after about, click, we get 3 or 4 shots. I'll turn around the camera and I say, number one, there's absolutely no filter. There's no Photoshop. There's no nothing. This is a raw image of you. So this is you, and this is how the world sees you. Mm-hmm. And usually that's the point where tears start flowing. And so because of that, really being able to see that moment of healing, like, wow, that's me. Mm-hmm. That's really me. And I also talk to women about the reason why you may not see yourselves the same way is I don't have a magic camera. What I do is I'm literally showing you how to take up space. So when you see models come out, they don't just have the hand on the hip and do the they step forward, they have a shoulder in, a shoulder back, they tilt their head, and they're bringing in all these angles. Mm-hmm. And what it does is that yes, exactly. And so what it does is it just makes you come out of the picture because a picture is 2D. So we live in a 3D world. And so because you want to make it more 3-dimensional, because it will then look like you're able to see yourself differently because I'm showing you how to come out of the picture. Again, not a magic camera. I'm simply showing you what the world sees every day. But as women, we're told you don't take up space. You become small, you shrink in. And that it's really giving women the space to see themselves differently as well as take up space as a woman in a very open and safe environment.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love that. And I was thinking too of how much more beautiful we are as women when we do take up space. So it's like, open up, take that space, and show your beauty. Yeah. Good work.
Thank you. Thank you. Yesterday, it actually happened. I even put it on my story that I was walking across the street with Ashley, my business partner, to Choquette. It's the French pastry shop. And I love
yes. One of our new PTO on the school, she works there. She's lovely.
So I walked across the street to there. We came in, and the owner, Simone, came up to me. She was just like, I saw you crossing the street, and you just look so beautiful in your dress and everything. Old Jenita would have been like, no, you're just, no. Look at the stain on my shirt, or look at, trying to pick up, but really being able as women to hold that space for ourselves and simply say, thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate you.
Because, or even saying, yeah, I do look good. Right. You're right.
Not quite sure yet, but I'll get there. But to simply say, goals. Simply saying thank you in that realm, and being able to, again, take up space in the world, right?
Yeah. I love that. You are beautiful.
Oh, you are. Thank you. I appreciate you.
I agree. That was perfect. Sorry. Oh yes. So now we come to a silly, giggly part.
We hopefully.
We're not sure. Yes.
We don't even remember what's in here.
Right. This is the moment where you pick a random question.
Okay.
And we all get to answer it.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. So the question is, what got you started on your wellness journey?
Okay.
What got you started? Yeah. My wellness journey, right? Really discovering myself. Again, touched on a little bit before, turning 40 was really a turning point for me, and just seeing myself, allowing myself to say, I am beautiful. Mm-hmm. I am worthy. Just those words, like and it takes a moment for me to, as you notice, I pause. Like I'm like, just say it, So it still takes a moment for me to say that, but that would have never come out of my mouth. So simply just using the words, I think, is what got me started. Is just simply vocalizing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, was there anything before turning 40 or around that time that happened that got you to go, I really need to change this?
No, I think I just, there's this, it's kind of a cliche, but, once you turn 40, you just stop giving an F about everything. And I realized, like, I don't care, I just don't care. I don't care about myself. I don't care about others, but I don't care what people think in the space of judgment. Right. And so, yeah, there was no real epiphany. There was nothing. It was just, I don't know, maybe 40 allowed me to go, it's okay. Like the number all of a sudden is like, okay, you're like an adult now. Right.
40. Yes. 40. That's about what it feels like.
Right. 30s, you're trying to figure it out. 40, you're like, oh no, you're here.
I've been working now for a while.
Yeah. Right. So probably that. I also went on a bucket list trip out of, and we've kind of talked before about like how I do self-empowerment boards and kind of like a vision board, and created my first one, and on it was my bucket list trip, and got it like 3 months later. And I thought my bucket list trip was going to happen like when I retired.
Oh,
like
sure.
Like that, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it was because it was like, and ended up going to Europe for almost a month, and did some of it on my own, which was pretty cool. During my 40s, I learned how to go to a restaurant on my own or go to an event on my own. That was really never a big deal. To travel, especially internationally, on your own.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. So I think that is what really was that true like turning point for me. Like, you can do this.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yes. Well, yeah, to be able to go, just starting off at the restaurant, and then like, I'm going to go on an airplane to a foreign country and do it. That's huge.
Yeah. What about you?
What started my healing journey? Well, I've probably been on a healing journey since adolescence. And just, looking back again, ADHD but not diagnosed until adulthood. But looking back at some of my behaviors, which were not always the safest choices that I would make, self-harming and things of that nature, impulsive is what I'm getting. And so really starting there with finding a therapist that I connected with and knowing that I can talk about this stuff. There are people out there for me. So I guess it started there, and then it's just kind of, just been this ongoing journey of understanding myself and what I need. And sometimes that changes. It changes a lot. Yeah.
It's hard to pinpoint something specific. I feel like growing up, and I feel like I often seized what I wanted to do and made it happen. And as I was getting older and starting new things and figuring out I wanted to start my private practice and things like that, there have been times where I kind of lost that feeling or lost that confidence. And so there were times where like pausing and just saying, hold on. Remember back in the day when you wanted this to happen, and so you said, I can make this happen. Why not? And I did. And so I'm like, what's different now? Like, I remember having a moment like laying in bed thinking, what's different now? If this is what I want to happen, what's keeping me from it? I can do it. Right? I just need to learn how. I'm guessing that's my answer to the question. Yeah. And so I don't know if that's exactly wellness, but and so it is giving myself that space and that grace for things to change or to find new ways to heal and explore all of these different things.
Well, I think it touches on what Jay was saying earlier about that self-awareness and kind of looking inward. And so, I like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff.
So what about when you guys came to do your little
that's our glimmer. We were going to use that for our glimmer. No, we can pick timing. So, do you want to start or do I want to start with our glimmer?
Start with how we met Jay.
Okay, so we met Jay at a rosé day. What is that area? Central West End. And we had a little rosé that day. And we came across Jay's booth with Ashley. And I always kind of wanted to do a little like a boudoir thing for my husband, but never, one, wasn't totally there to do it, and then finding someone to do it. And then there you were, just there. I'm like, Catherine, I can't do it by myself. You have to do it. Come with me. So we signed up, and that experience with you, really, everything that you mentioned before, but that was a big glimmer for me, because to be able to go into that space and get comfortable and let it all hang out, not all of it, but, and get loose in the pictures. I mean, really, I'm like, I am beautiful. And it felt so good. And it really was empowering. And I think even after that, you know what? I think that might have been a turning point for me, because after that, I felt empowered, and I'm like, I am going to do something different. And since then, I've gotten off of insurance panels and have really put more energy into my business. And you really, started that. So I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for trusting me.
Thank you.
Yeah, so to add on to that, I'm thinking of specifically being in the studio and being nervous and getting dressed and being worried about, I don't have lipstick, or I don't have the right color, or, I'm just getting ready and being all nervous and like, what if it doesn't turn out right, or whatever. And the first couple poses, feeling stiff and being nervous, but just like, your comfort and your guidance, and then Amy, you being there, being like, keep going. It was a moment to relax and release, and then have fun with it and enjoy it, and feel beautiful and feel like, I can do these things and be sexy. And then, like you said, with the reveal, it is looking at yourself in a different way, the way than how I look at myself. I'm guessing my husband sees me in a certain way, and I don't see myself in that way. But to actually see it, and like you said, wow, that looks great. Look at me. Yeah, it really is empowering to take that space and to enjoy it.
Yeah. So, it was wonderful.
Thank you so much. Again, I'm always so excited when people see that moment of like that. Not necessarily even a turning point for themselves, but a turning point in that moment to go, I am beautiful. People see me this way, So I really appreciate you trusting me. I really do.
Yeah. It was a great space to do it in. Yes.
It was.
So how about you? Any glimmers?
So lately, as of even last night, so my parents are elderly and they're not doing so great. So my son informed me he is going to move home from Chicago to spend time with them in the last couple of years. And so he switched around his whole career, his everything to make it work. So he's coming down. So my glimmer was going through, because there's a whole other like walking person, stay with me from there. I'm like, oh my goodness, I have so much to clear out. So I purged yesterday. Okay, so I am going to do the glimmer. I purged yesterday, and when I say I filled up 6 IKEA bags, and to know that I did it and I organized it and I could actually sleep on my bed last night.
Oh,
That was huge because I really am like, I'll just sleep on the other bed tonight. But to know that I took everything out of my closet that I needed to and then switched it over from his closet to mine. That was a huge glimmer.
Yes,
that feels good.
So
Awesome.
I love the glimmers.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need to focus more on them.
Yes, keep them coming.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and the last piece is, do you have something to promote? Do you have things that are coming down the pipeline that we want to know about?
Sure. So it is our website is live. It's called the
Self Collective Studio.
Or the Self Collective with dashes in between. The idea is that the site is live and it has all the upcoming events. So the two are going to be, we do a weekly sound bath at the studio. We do other different types of sound baths there as well with an acoustic guitar and that kind of thing.
Oh, nice.
Yes, it's very cool. So it's, not acoustic, ambient guitar. And then we're going to be starting the book club, and that information will be on there. And then you can always sign up there through and get more information, but doing a boudoir shoot.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like all encompassing. So yeah, the selfcollectivestudio.com.
Okay. And then can people, if they want to host a healing space, they can go
they can contact me there too.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Would love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Great. Yeah. And you're in Edward. No, where are you?
O'Fallon, Illinois.
Okay. Yeah. Just a hot minute across the river.
Yes. It really is. It's only 15 minutes from the river, but you know, in St. Louis, people think you need a passport sometimes to cross the river. So you don't. You can come visit us, and it's really easy.
It's easy to come
there.
Yeah. So is that?
I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, this was great. It was great to be able to and just reflect for ourselves. So thank you.
Yeah. And so that's
So we are the TheraSisters.
Yes, we are.
And like us, subscribe, follow. You can listen to us on Apple and Spotify.
Yep. And we're on Instagram.
And we're on, yes.
And we have a website.
Yes.
TheraSistersStL.com.
That's right.
Okay.
All right. Giggles and glimmers.
Yay. Okay. Cool. We did it. We did it.
Great job.
Yes. Okay. I wasn't sure about that.
The timing is perfect.
Okay, good. Because I sometimes get nervous because I get engrossed and I'm like, how and I lose track.
Well, at first, I thought we were been talking